Thanks very much. Thanks for the Mobile Growth Summit. I guess people are still having coffee. I'm going to just give you a little bit of background before I introduce my panelists. Can we bring up the few slides that I got? Just a brief introduction. I'm part of the VR/AR Association. We're a big global network. We're trying to accelerate the growth of VR and AR. Many people have, disparaging opinions about the technology and what have you, but I'm a firm believer. I've been doing this for more than 15 years. I did my master's degree in it. I also run my own startup and research and development house looking at VR and AR technologies, working with the likes of Epic and the Googles and Oculuses. The association itself is a global association. Like I said, we got 50 chapters across the globe, everything from Vancouver, San Francisco to Shenzhen and Sydney. I look after the region here in Germany, Austria and Switzerland. The interesting thing is that the committees that we work on, we have 20 plus committees that are a variety of ones, everything from everything from advertising and marketing to everything from training in aerospace and healthcare and education. So we do everything within because AR and VR can be applied to all verticals basically. So you can see we're all over the place, even in Dubai and in South America. If you have any interest and keenness in this kind of topic, we also hold a global summit in Vancouver every year, which I'll be also going to with a German delegation. We have the likes of Niantic, who do Pokemon Go, going to be speaking, as well as Microsoft and Intel and all these people, because the next wave of interfaces is using this technology. Just wanted to show you a few numbers about what has recently come out from San Francisco Intelligence Data Statistic Agency, how the growth of AR ad revenue is growing. And what the projections are happening, just so to give you an idea where the money is coming in. Most of it still is Snapchat lenses or in-app experiences, but that is going to change drastically in the coming years when opening up to web-based solutions. The final thing I also wanted to show you was the users that we're talking about here as well. It's kind of interesting to see. This is actually originally from Snap. Got the Boston Consulting Group to do a study last year, and this is just in the States for mobile augmented reality users hitting already 80 million. And then we've got the smartphone users and the social media users on top, looking more like in the well over 300 million users. I added to the graph also the headset market, how that's growing very fast. So we are looking at a drastic increase in uptake in this technology. And from this point, I want to, just having given you a bit of a perspective of what the market looks like. I'm going to invite my first panelist on stage. So the idea behind this talk or this panel was to bring, I did this panel for Mobile Growth Summit Europe last year, which was very technical orientated. So I got two development houses talking about how to develop this technology, and it was a little bit over everyone's head. So I decided to take a different perspective this time, and I invited an advertiser and a publisher to the stand to talk about what their impressions are and where they see it all going and what they've done in the market or in the augmented reality market so far. So please first welcome Kamil Friebel to the stage. So Kamil, first question I got to ask is there's a bit of confusion. You got Splicky there, but on your lanyard it says Jaduda, but there's more to it. Can you maybe give us a little bit of background of where you work and what all kind of facets you got going on in your...
Sure. Thanks for the introduction, Phil. My name is Kamil. I'm head of sales at Splicky. Splicky is a mobile DSP and is the product of the firm of the company called Jaduda. And Jaduda is at the moment part of the Goldbach Group, which is one of the biggest TV agencies in Switzerland, and they are now part of Tamedia. So there's a big brand behind us, and but we talk about mobile programmatic, AR programmatic on this panel. And we're based here in Berlin, so I think I'm nearly one of the 0.1% here from Berlin. Nice to be here.
Thanks. And just briefly, I've invited you to the panel because we've been talking a bit on LinkedIn about what you've already achieved in AR, but in general, the Yaduda platform, you guys offer a lot of different types of inventory, basically. You offer it all from video to rich media to everything.
Of course, we offer classic banners, rich media, video, the whole mobile advertising stuff which is around the world. So AR in the end, as we'll talk about this later, is a new kind of creative, but in the end is a creative.
And and your background, you've been doing now this mobile for a while, I guess.
Yeah, I'm doing mobile for now more than 5 years. I'm in the media business since more or less about 10 years. I started at Axel Springer with classic print advertisement, then online, now mobile, and we'll see what will be the next.
Okay. So there you go. We got an advertiser on board. I want to invite our next panelist to the stage, Christian Krauss. He works the first question will be, what is Spring? And well, Chris, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your work history working with Axel Springer, and maybe for our international audience, explain what Axel Springer is to the international crew that might not know the publications that you guys do.
Yeah, sure. So hi everybody, my name is Chris Krauss. I'm a senior product manager with Spring Media. Spring Media, as Friebel already mentioned, is a company of Axel Springer. Axel Springer SE, as most of you might know, is one of the largest digital publishing house in Europe. Spring Media actually is responsible there for more than 60 media products belonging to 25 media brands, and we are running business and technology for them. And some of them are, you might know them, is Bild.de, for instance, Welt.de, so some of the biggest media sites in Europe. Axel Springer SE as such has gone a profound transition, I would call it, from a publishing house into a digital media company during the last years, and currently nowadays we have like more than 200 digital units under the roof of Axel Springer. And as you can imagine, with so many companies, there's also so many use cases and a variety of business cases. And this is actually where I come into the game. I try to bring the new augmented and virtual reality technologies into all those use cases, into all those business cases, into all those companies, to make the whole company a little bit more digital than it is already by now.
So Spring Media is a digital innovation house within Axel Springer to advise as well as to produce projects and proofs of concept and that sort of thing? Or how does the relationship between Spring Media and the rest of the Axel Springer properties, are you creating stuff or are you just advising the actual content creators?
Well, it's a little bit of both actually. The thing is that Spring Media actually was founded 1.5 years ago roughly. And it was meant as a digital column. So what we did was, at that point in time, that we bundled all the digital activities into one unit, which is, so to say, a little bit separated from the print activities. And this is where we support, as said, the business and the technology to enforce the digital activities of the companies at this point.
Okay, so now you got a little bit of who these guys are. We got a publisher, we got an advertiser. Chris, I'd like to start with you, since you've now seen and been witness to the, I guess, last 5 years of this wave of VR and AR. I mean, the technology goes, 30 years back, 50 years back, but we've now seen an uptake since, Palmer Luckey, and since Apple and Google are in the game. All the 5 big players are in the game. However, you've also seen all the hype behind it, some of the gimmicky approaches to it, some of the implementations for the last 10 years, specifically for mobile augmented reality inside apps. And it's all maybe kind of fallen a bit short here and there. Maybe you can start us off with a little bit of a history lesson, what your take has been in working with this immersive technology of VR and AR.
Yeah, sure. So, well, I remember quite well that when I started with VR at that time, that was like 3-4 years ago, that was not a self-seller. you have to have in the back of our mind that we are, of course, addressing the mass market, right? And at that point in time, when I tried to apply VR into the companies, into the business I just mentioned beforehand, people liked what we did. They liked what they saw, what we did in virtual reality. But that was it. The next question was, okay, where's the business case? And well, there was no business case. That was all strategic, right? But the talk about strategic placements and early birds and first movers and so on, this is nice if you talk to upper management, but if people actually have to open up their budgets, then it's a little bit more difficult. So, and they were right. I mean, if we look at the numbers of available VR headsets nowadays, I think you got the number here, you had it before, it was like 15 million or so. I mean, this is not a mass market, right? But this is, of course, as Axel Springer, what we address. We address a mass market. And so, as said, management was right. There is no business case, which does not mean that there's no business case in other branches, right? So we have lots of B2B VR business cases, product design, education, gaming, of course, but this is not the branch that Axel Springer is actually working in. So when we discovered that, we said, okay, let's switch to AR then, which was like 1.5 years ago or so. And if we look at the numbers here, things are a little bit different, right? So we have, I think, roughly 700 million or so AR-compatible end-user devices currently available in the world out there. And there's a prospect of, I think, roughly 2 billion end-user devices within the next 2 to 3 years. And this is a mass market. So this is why we are addressing augmented reality, also because we want to address the mass market there. By the way, it does not mean that we have like 700 million users nowadays. Okay, so
no, of course not, but the addressable market is that large, certainly.
Yeah, but we are still quite early.
For sure, and in terms of early, when you look back, maybe what I'm interested now. Okay, we've seen that Google's on board, Apple's on board. Everyone's talking about how we see the mobile market moving towards more wearable technologies. But at the same time, have we hit that turning point that people are ready to adopt it? Are we at a stage where the technology is also at a turning point where it's good enough and what have you? Do you see that as we've already hit that turning point? Are we about to, or has it already happened? What are your thoughts on where we're at technologically and user-wise?
Well, as said, 700 million potential users. I guess 650 of those don't even know the AR, right, as a technology. They don't know that their devices are capable of doing augmented reality. But that's my deep belief, the market is definitely rising powerfully, especially since you mentioned it, especially since the big ones in the mobile businesses like Google and Apple apparently have identified augmented reality as one of the next big things. Right next to artificial intelligence, for instance. And we can see that like in every new release which they bring onto the market, that they try to outmatch each other in newer and better AR features which are available then. And of course, those features are being used, right? I mean, we have like some hundreds AR apps in the app stores nowadays. We have AR features as a standard on social media platforms.
So you think that the turning point is not there yet, or is it already there? That's what I want.
If I see all these, let's say, developments, I would say we are roughly reaching this turning point. So we will see very interesting developments within the near future.
Okay, I disagree, but that we're not here to talk about what I think. So, Kamil, you also, we talked briefly, so you've been in the mobile business for a long time. You've seen the explosion in mobile advertising, everything from, text to banners to, flash to God knows what, to videos now, of course. I guess what I'm interested in beyond that is also the rich media use cases that are existing, not to create more interaction. How do you see, actually, because AR is so dependent on the smartphone camera, How do you see the development of using the camera as a personal means to create user-generated content? How do you see I guess is it a game changer for advertising, or is it just another?
It is totally a game changer. There's no doubt about it. We have to take a look on the evolution of advertisement. 5 years ago, we talked about native ads. Everything is cool, native ads. We have native ads, 5% CTR conversion rates, and now we are about on 0.8 till 1% click-through rate. We will see here we have the small rooms, so here about, I think, 25, 30 people. We don't have the big rooms. So we're at the beginning of an evolution. The people are interested about it, but not so far as we want to have it. And of course, when you have a camera, and you are able to use it for advertisement, so why not doing it? So we need new creatives, agencies seeking for new creatives, the clients are asking for new creatives, and so let's take the camera and put the user in the middle of a creative, not the product. This is old school, this is so 2018. Let's take the user, put it in the middle, put it in the center, and then you have great cases.
So then you say that the AR is not just another rich media type. It's got something. I mean, regardless of where you're adding this user-generated content, the AR part of, is it just about adding a little bit of 3D graphics in there, a la Pokemon Go, which half the Pokemon Go users don't even use the AR part of it. Is it more, or do you see more of it?
No. In the end, it's a rich media creative. So, but a VW Polo is a car and a Ferrari is a car. So in the end it's a rich media creative, but we're talking about average time spent on unit. We talk about engagement rate, and we talk about the creatives we have at the moment, some wipeable ads, some cube ads, some shake ads or whatever. We have average time spent on unit from about 5-6 seconds, or an engagement rate of 7-8%. When we take AR, in the middle, we get now a campaign with Luminox where you're able to put a watch on your wrist. We have a picture rate of 4%. So the engagement rate is much higher. It's more than 10%, and the average time spent in unit can be 30 seconds or more. So you have more engagement with the creative, with the product. The user is in the middle, and it's an emotional connection you have then to the product.
And do you find that this user behavior is actually quite different in the end?
Totally, because it's not the product. The user is able to interact with one product, and that's a completely new future we need.
Okay, so and you've been speaking about this campaign that you've been doing for Luminox, the watchmaker. Chris, you've tried it out. You've seen what you guys talked a little bit also yesterday about the numbers that you've been able to showcase. The campaign just ended in July or something. I guess in relation to that, we were talking about last night, and what Bild did maybe a year ago with their first in-app activation using AR, and all the stuff that's happened in between. Apple doing quick views in AR, and Google adding search options within AR, or using Google Maps to direct you using AR. All these things that you've seen in the course of the last year. How would you say mobile publishers should be engaging with AR now? Should they be including it? Should they be thinking about it? Maybe you can talk a little bit about the strategies that you've been developing in the last year and a half with Spring Media. How do you see that all playing out?
Brings me back to the turning point. So this is exactly why I think we are right now at the turning point. We have reached the turning point, and we are now heading to a broad future. Broad future, I mean, in the sense of the word. I see broad bandwidth. We are heading for 5G, for instance, right? We are heading for powerful browsers, AR-compatible browsers. So all the infrastructure is there or will be there, very powerful in the near future. So this is why I'm definitely heading for a mobile web augmentation, and I think that this definitely is a very powerful future that we are heading to. The thing is, if we are talking about in-app app-based, web-based. So I don't see, and you also mentioned the build example. I don't see any difference in app-based, in-app or web-based augmentations. Because in the end, if it's in-app, then you have a web view. If it's web-based, then you have an augmentation which is available in your browsers, so you don't need any apps actually to make this app available. And this is actually what is very important for us, also from Axel Springer, addressing the mass market. Because reach is the ultimate goal, the ultimate argument with which we have to deal, right? So no limitations which actually would be taken if you have an app, and that's the second aspect, app-based augmentations. So that means if you have a native app with an augmentation which is being app-based, so it's really bound to that app and it's only available to users who have that app, then it's not very useful and you would not have that reach. Let's stay with the advertisements. If you have an advertisement which is only visible if you have the app, if you download the app, have to download the app beforehand, then you would not have the reach, you would lose your customers. The same with content.
Partly why AR was not as a great uptake, because it was only found in app. You couldn't get it on a browser, on a mobile browser. Originally, now that we have technologies to be able to see AR applications even on Chrome or Safari, we have like a whole different picture almost of what the addressable market is again, or the willingness, the frictionless opportunity to get users involved in it.
But there's always workarounds. So like we did in the Luminox campaigns, you can put the advertisement in app, but
in the web view.
In the web view.
Yeah.
And so you have to turn around, so can you reach every publisher worldwide? We have about, I think, 50,000 publishers we reach with this one campaign. It was from mobile website like Bild.de to mobile.de and some other stuff. So this is, I think, the easiest way in the end.
Absolutely. So there we actually like have the same opinion. It doesn't matter if it's in-app or if it's just mobile web, as long as it is web-based, right? So app-based is something I have a problem with because it just reduces the reach.
And it's also different, like we did it in a programmatic way, or if you do it on one publisher and one app, like do it in Bild.de. There's also completely different structure.
Yeah. You were also asking for strategies, actually. So the strategy that we currently follow is that we say, okay, if we see augmented reality, there's heaps of, or in the product portfolio which we offer actually, there's heaps of product possibilities. And I mean, you can do AR the one way or the other. If we are talking about the sophisticated way, then we see like 3D models, right, which have to be individually created. And this, of course, is some kind of effort. It's also expensive. And I have actually spoken to many customers, like media providers, site providers. And since the market is still quite new, and it's not a learned behavior, not in the customers and not in the end users. It's a little bit difficult to sell all these sophisticated AR experiences to those customers. So my experience is that if you want to sell augmented reality, then you have to make it a smooth way, right? You have to like approach them carefully. And the current strategy that we follow in the moment is that we say, okay, let's have some easy augmented reality experiences which we offer them based on generic tools actually. Nonetheless, they are like impressive, powerful, and they are able to transport some kind of added value. And if we have that, then you can like show them, look, not much effort, not too expensive, but you will reach your customers, you will transport some kind of added value. And if they see that that works out, they also develop some kind of trust into you, into your technology. And that is actually the strategy that we have currently, that we say, okay, if that works out, if they trust you, if they see the success in the smooth approach, then in the second step, you can approach them with like the more sophisticated, the more expensive AR experiences, the more individual stuff, as said, 3D model-based AR experiences. So,
but in the end, an AR campaign, an AR ad, is cheaper as a print advertisement. Because every model is there. So you have logos, you have graphics, it's still there. The rendering, the 3D rendering can be done pretty fast. This is what I had in this experience the last time.
Depends on the campaign, I'd say.
I mean, it all depends on how much you want to build in the 3D world. But I think there's plenty of use cases where even the 3D modeling is not necessary, since AR can include not just the creative 3D graphics. It could just be overlays and what have you. Yeah. And that leads me kind of to my next and hopefully wrap up type question. Kind of we're looking at using the mobile device as a tool in between for advertisers that can access other multi-screen opportunities, omni-channel opportunities, whether that's in car, at home, on the television, in print. How do you see the mobile device, and especially the AR and the camera being the tool to express that, or to link those devices, not just connected devices, but actually using the camera as even print billboards and what have you. These are.
I have a dream. And in the end, I'm started in print advertising, Axel Springer. And now I'm working for a company, Tamedia, which has with 20 Minuten one of the biggest newspapers in Switzerland. And what I want to have is a combination of mobile and print, or mobile and out of home, or even mobile and TV, to scan something and have the engagement in the app or with a QR code inside. This is something I want to have because the mobile is in the middle of everything. Mobile is in the middle of TV, of out of home, of print, of radio as well. And this combination is something we tested in from time to time, and it's definitely possible. It will come.
And finally, the QR code scanners are in the cameras. Finally,
that's it. That's it.
How long did that damn well take?
I totally believe in it. But we need the first mover. We need the first mover on this because the whole media landscape is a lemming business. When we have the first mover, we can start with it.
Well, then maybe the final wrap up, obviously Snapchat, Facebook Messenger with all the lens creatives, face filters, all that being pushed on by some of the biggest companies out there. Is there a future for this? You're convinced, or are you also convinced that mobile advertisers can benefit more from actually engaging with the camera and the users and personalizing the ad experience?
Absolutely. Since I mentioned before, so we have, from my point of view, reached the inflection point. Infrastructure is there or is about to come. So that is very powerful. And for my deep belief, AR advertisement will be, in the near future, as popular as we have video advertisement today.
Okay, bold words. I've already gone over, haven't I? Okay, sorry. So that's all, folks. No time for questions. I think we're all going to be here tomorrow as well. We'll be here for the rest of the day. If you have any questions, just hunt us down. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.